Hello everyone, and welcome back to 31 Days of Q&A. Today's question, Day 13. How long does an average piece take you to complete? This is a question I get asked a lot at conventions, and it is really hard to answer because I can't take an average of piece that I do if, a bunch of my pieces are 5x7s and a bunch of them are like 12x18s or sometimes even larger than that. So I usually will be a little bit, I wouldn't say snarky, but a little bit of a smartass and tell people anywhere between 5 and 65 hours because it's absolutely true. There's no such thing as an average. I kind of don't like this question because there's no average. Like, a painting or a drawing takes as long as it takes to complete, and some pieces, depending on the complexity, might only take a few hours. But if you're doing something crazy detailed, and bigger especially, it's gonna take a lot more time. So there's no average. And I'm a little confused sometimes about this question and why it gets asked. Because I feel like it's sort of this, maybe it's like some sort of way to understand how much time an artist spends doing art. But, there's been paintings that I'll work on over the course of a year. And how do you quantify the amount of time it took to do that? Because it's not just the time it took to physically paint it, put the paint on the paper or the canvas or whatever. But the time that's spent in between those art sessions are also sort of dedicated to working on the piece. Because if a piece is displayed in the studio, every time I look at it, I'm going over different details of it in my mind. I'm looking at details. I'm saying, I'm going to work on this section a little bit more, or I'm going to change this section. A smaller piece can take anywhere from 2 to 5 hours to do. Large pieces can take anywhere from 12 to 70 plus. I lose track after a while. I don't keep a timer up or anything when I'm working on a large piece because I might pull it out and work on it for 20 minutes here, an hour there, or 3 hours here, so on and so forth. So I guess overall, I'm not a huge fan of the question. I don't think there's really a true average you can take for a piece unless you're somebody who does like the same size paper every single time and the same method and the same amount of detail. Like, that's the only way you can really get an average. So I could take an average if I looked at a series of illustrations, so maybe like the Dragon Brush series, because they're all 5x7, they were all dragons, and they were all done in watercolor. So something like that I could take an average of, but overall there's really no such thing as an average piece. You just do it until it's done, and that's it. Alright, thanks for listening everyone. If you want to follow along for the rest of the series, we're almost halfway there. I don't know, again, I might have mentioned this before, if I'm keeping up to the daily pace of these. I am sure trying. I will have 31 videos regardless of whether I'm able to post them every day. But if you don't want to miss the next one, do subscribe, hit the little bell icon, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!